Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and AD Drew. Getting into week 2, week 1, week 0, it depends on mid-major and major division. With that being said, more importantly, welcome to episode 701 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora. All things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NEIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. In short, we just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, that is Ralph Cooper. Had a chance to spend some time with him doing the Sam Andrews Black Fantasy Football League. Boy, is that entertaining group of fellas. The beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let's bring everybody in. As we're doing that, today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THD Agency, LLC. THD Agency is a company that provides sporting, educational consulting, and data analytics. With that being said, let's jump into it a little bit, get into some of this news of the day. As we do that, Charles, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Doing well. I mean, we had a lot of exciting action this past weekend. A little bit of football hangover. Thank God we had Monday to kind of process everything out. Now we're back up and ready for another week.
That's a great point, particularly with that long evening we had Saturday night. Big Mike, how you doing?
Man, I echo that. I'm still recovering, man. Unfortunately, some of us had to jump back on the treadmill and go back to work, but I'm still processing, if I may borrow that term, all the things that transpired this past weekend, both those that are sports and both those are that were band related.
I think that's pretty good take. AD Drew, how are you?
There was a run to CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart on high blood pressure pills because we had so many games that came down to the last play or two on this weekend. And then we had other games that were blowouts where people were ready to push off legs and their blood pressure was up, ready to throw stuff at those TVs. So newsflash, I just got a text. Your GoodRx coupon still works. You can go pick up your pills, and you got about an hour before the pharmacy closes. Y'all.
Hi to Lasartan.
Oh man, great comments, great opening statements, good stuff after this past weekend of HBCU sports culture. With that being said, AD, I'm gonna stick with you. Some big news that's coming up this week. First Tuskegee night game and some additional news that comes with that. Go ahead, AD. Take it away.
And I'm gonna start with the way AD Ruffin is. I don't have any hookups for the game. I don't even have media credentials for the game. So don't call me, don't ask me, don't text me. I don't know who you can call, text, or ask, except at the ticket window or go online to GoldenTigersAthletics.com to get your ticket. And I don't believe I'm actually doing a promo, although it's my alma mater, for another school within the conference that I work at. But Coach Ruffin, I understand, man. And this is from HBCU Game Day. And the headline says it all. Buy your damn ticket. Do I need to get into the article any further?
No, I think you said it all right there. That's enough said. That's
But
perfectly said.
I will
Go read it if you hadn't read it already, because it is poignant and entertaining, all in the same.
Yeah.
With the major statement made. Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah. But I highlight, obviously, we know Tuskegee's playing the historical first night game at Cleve Abbott Memorial Stadium. And if obviously I know a little bit about Tuskegee athletic history, this is something Cleve Abbott tried to get lights at the stadium while he was still coaching. So this is over 100 years in the work with them to get lights at Abbott Memorial Stadium. But Ruffin point blank said no free tickets. He said he needs the alumni to support Golden Tiger Athletics the right way. The hookup is dead in the 4-6. And last thing before I turn this over, and this sums it up. Most of you don't even donate a $5 case of water or power, he said. He added that the desire for sideline passes often has more to do with appearing on television than supporting the team. He reminded readers of his track record. Nothing in his history of championship, noting his history of championship as both an assistant coach and a head coach, and emphasizes that no one is entitled to special treatment, even me.
Yeah, I agree. Great statement. Tough for some people here, but I agree with it. And it's getting to the point where if you're going to continue to have a program, much less viable program, that you're going to need all the support you can get, and that support has to come in terms of what this country calls capital, and I mean capital in terms of the green, moolah, or whatever way you want to say it. So, good way to open the show in terms of understanding the urgency of now in terms of supporting your program. With that, I'm going to slide over to you, Mike. Go ahead and get some news.
Well, I mean, on that tip, I don't know if you guys came across it. Was an interesting article, blog, and on that tip, it was by My Carib News. I don't know, many of you may be familiar with it, and the title of the article is HBCU sports and bands deserve more than just a tailgate party. They deserve our support. There's one of the persons listed is president and CEO of Sports 1105, Mr. Albert Williams. And he goes on to say about, when you step into an HBCU stadium, there's all this nostalgia. There's watching the game. You're invested in the history and the legacy. And every play on the field, every note from the band represents culture, legacy, dedication, the excellence of Black men and women. And it carries the pride of that institution and their families. And he goes on, it's a passionate plea that these athletes and musicians aren't just putting up a show. They're competing for scholarships, bragging rights, funding, national recognition. It's a short, well-written, pointed article. And somewhere in there, I don't know if this is related to the Tuskegee. He says supporting HBCUs isn't complicated. Just buy a ticket. So the HBCU NY Classic is happening soon, and tickets are available. But it's also another plea to support not only the institutions but the athletic associations and also the bands. So he goes on to say that studies show that HBCUs produce 20% of African American college athletes, more than 80% of judges. You've seen those numbers before, but I like the passion and the plea. But the bottom line statement that he leaves in this article. So I'll send it. You may have seen it already. It came across my my social media, and I thought it was a very interesting article.
Yep, send it.
Buy your damn ticket.
Send it away. Send it to a couple of us. Send it into our HBCU groups that we have affinity for on the various social media platforms, so we can maybe get some dialogue it's probably not for us in terms of what that looks like, but certainly some of our colleagues, extended friends, could maybe get a message through that. So I think we got a theme, Charles. We'll see what you're going to go, but buy your damn ticket. and seems to be consistent. What direction you go with, Charles?
Don't go for the hookup.
Well, I mean, it does beg the question, like, how much do you value your institution if you're not trying to purchase a ticket? So I think that's a very interesting dialogue on another day. I'm going to go in a different direction. Jackson State, they climbed 2 spots to number 15 in the Stats Perform FCS Top 25 poll released on yesterday after their season opening 28-14 win over Hampton. The Tigers are the only HBCU program ranked in the top 25 after week 1. 3 other HBCU programs, Tennessee State, South Carolina State, and North Carolina Central, received votes in the poll. So Jackson State holding it down for HBCUs right now, but you got a bunch of teams, Tennessee State, South Carolina State, North Carolina Central, knocking on the door.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Great update. Appreciate the FCS update. We will unveil the top 7 for the mid-major division. But as we open up this first segment, I want to give this update since we're talking about buy your damn ticket. Let's look at a little bit of these attended games for those who are buying the ticket. What those figures look like. Pair of HBCU FBS games top the list of most attended games for the first full slate of 2025 HBCU games. Obviously, this shouldn't surprise you. Alabama A&M and Arkansas was 70,827. I'm sure many of those people were buying tickets. Arkansas Pine Bluff versus Texas Tech, 60,229. Many of those folks were buying tickets. Alabama State at University of Alabama Birmingham, 26,294. I guess they were buying tickets as well. Howard versus FAMU down there in Miami, 22,455. Prairie View at Texas Southern, 19,638. Bethune-Cookman, Florida International, 18,034. Delaware State versus Delaware, 17,895. Tuskegee, Winston-Salem State, 15,005. Jackson State Hampton, 13,576. And Lincoln, PA versus Grand Valley State, 12,136 to round out those top 10, 11, 12 games from week 1. Also, CIAA to host 2025 Basketball Media Day in Baltimore on October 7th. So basketball is around the corner before we know it. We can't even get good into basketball, just to let you know how all this stuff is circling. And I'm sure for basketball season, they need you to buy your tickets as well. With that being said, go ahead, Charles.
I'm not sure. I don't know if that Jackson State attendance is a huge disappointment. There isn't a historical connection with Jackson State and Hampton. I think you would have liked to have seen the attendance be a little bit higher, but Hampton's making a nice long drive into Jackson. And then, I think I from a lot of people that I talked to, they just did not know enough about Hampton. So
I was just like, from a business standpoint, if you're putting that together, those are not the first 2 teams that come together going long distance to form a classic. I'm just sorry. I mean, is that
it's a good football matchup? I mean, I enjoy
football matchup. Yes.
Yeah.
But I think you got to get past the fact that all attendance has to be about matchups. Let's get back to this buying ticket.
True.
Either you're gonna support your team or you're not. You got a championship, number 1 ranked team coming back, and you want to support and say, and then all the money you got going in there. At Jackson State, Ashley put out there that dollars from the ticket are going to go support the Sonic Boom that everybody in Jackson claims they love. They love, DI love. This is your chance to show your love to kick off the game. So classic, non-classic attendance.
I agree.
Buy your damn ticket.
I agree. Buy the damn ticket. Buy the damn ticket regardless.
But let me finish, Mike. Let me finish, Mike. I'm serious on this point here. When we get in here, and we're joking with the buy you ticket, there's some serious about it. But when you talk about matchup, everything can't be King Kong matchup.
I got you.
There's a scheduling thing. Everybody else had a matchup. At the same time, everybody else going to play their money game. How you going to create the perfect matchup when you only have so many Division I FCS programs you can play, period, anyway? in terms of HBCUs, half of the great matchups are already in the conference. So you only have 2 or 3 more games that you can even play if you wanted to. Every game, every non-conference game can't be against South Carolina State, can't be against North Carolina Central. I mean, I don't know what else you want in terms of your team being there. And, you know, with all due respect, with some great fans, these are fans that will let you know that they're great. That wasn't a great showing.
Point taken.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't dance around that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's not a great showing.
Yeah.
And everybody will say whatever their point is, but no, sometimes we need to sit out there and call great fans out. Be great.
Yep, I agree.
Be great means buying your damn tickets. It also means showing up and showing out. Now, you talk about being the example. Be the example. So with that, we're going to take our first break, come back on the other side. Let's get into some of this mid-major talk and talk about some of these scores out there, anything that excited you this past week in terms of some of these matchups. We'll get in the top 7 schools that had matchups and see what that looks like. I mean, it's the other ones. I mean, everybody else, I'll say this final thing. Everybody else, we're talking about mid-major love. They want Charlotte's love for mid-major. You had Tuskegee, you want some Salem State outdraw you.
Yeah.
I'll Drew Jackson State.
Right back after this break.
Lincoln and Grand Valley almost equal Jackson State.
Yep.
There it is.
Now, you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
Get ready for the inaugural.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and A.D. Drew. With that being said, I want to get into some of these scores and matchups and get your thoughts in terms of anything that jumped out to you all in terms of what that looks like. Let's look at the top 7 coming into the preseason. You had a matchup that featured number 2, if you would, facing off, defeating in that matchup. Macomb 35-7 in terms of what that looked like in that matchup. So they go to Virginia State goes to 1-0 and move to the next slide there as we get into number 1. Top 5 matchup. I was interested in this matchup. You all told me earlier that this, while on paper might have sounded like it was a good top 5, but quickly we find out that it wasn't. Virginia Union put foot to tail, belt to the backside, whichever term you want to use. It was a 45-3 score, as you saw them. Number 1, Virginia Union Panthers take down number 5, Miles Golden Bears. Made sense in terms of what this looks at, but one team had a coaching change. A lot of those players moved up to Alabama A&M, as AD made us very aware of in terms of what that looks like. Seems like Miles may have a long way to climb to get back to where they were. Virginia Union took over the number 1 spot from Miles late in the season last week, but they look poised to keep it moving forward. Let's look at our third top 7 game, which was the Clark Atlanta Panthers. They were in Birmingham for a classic. They played well in the game, but could not get the W as they fall by us, the state that really has the HBCU numbers as of late. in terms of these matchups. So number 3 falls 31-28 in that matchup. Going to number 4, which will be interesting for some folks. Some people may say this is a bit of upset. Stephen Gaither is not happy in terms of what took place in that, but our other expert, A.D. Drew, is very happy. Maybe tad bit surprised, but he's happy for multiple reasons. 1, the Golden Tigers won, and 2, he did not go 0 for 3 in the weekend, which he said on Sunday he was a little concerned with. Well, he scratched. He made sure he got it out of there as Tuskegee gets a late field goal and holds on and wins. Very competitive game. They win 20-17 over Winston-Salem State Rams that fall 0-1. And with this win, for those that are keeping count, there were 5 SIAC CIAA matchups this weekend. This was the 5th one. It went in 2-2. So the SIAC has the edge right now, 3-2 in those matchups. So I know Dr. Holloman, the commissioner over there, is smiling a little proudly, particularly as he was not quite as happy as he was down there in Ohio checking out the Miles Golden Bears, which didn't work out in his favor. But he is up 3-2. Let's get into that next matchup where we go to the number 6 team as number 5 is off. We have the Golden Bulls 45-9.
Wow.
Do we need to talk about this one?
Yeah, something tells me it's not too keen. We'll move on since it's not working out too well in this matchup. Let's get to our last matchup, which is number 7, if you would, with West Alabama taking on Fort Valley State. Also pretty competitive game. West Alabama got it done 27-17. So the SIAC in terms of their matchup going into Go Soft didn't work out too well, but certainly played some good football. We'll see what that translates to in terms of the matchup. Let's take it down. You've seen the top 7 scores there, and let's have a discussion about it. Gentlemen, in terms of the scores that we had here in terms of those top 7 matchups or any other of the mid-major division games, what are your thoughts? What stood out to you? Any of the games, any of the matchups, whether those top 7 are off the board, Charles?
One that's off the board, the score caught my eye, and that's Albany knocking off Shaw 51-7. Tiach White had a game, 137. Weiss, I should say. I'm sorry, 137 yards and a couple of touchdowns. But that was a score that really jumped out for me. And then the second one was Clark and Valdosta. I was curious how Valdosta would look post Tremaine Jackson, and Clark had a golden opportunity to go in there and kind of knock off one of those mid-major blue bloods. So that score is very interesting to me.
Yeah, great points there all around. I had some of the similar thoughts. Let me go to you, Mike.
I have 2 questions, and I guess our residential D2 expert, Mr. AD himself, can help me answer that, or maybe you, Dr. Cavil. That Clark Atlanta game, Dr. Cavil, you have asked the question, is this a good win? We know how Clark Atlanta did last year. Here they start off the game against Valdosta State. In your opinion, given the history and given Clark Atlanta, was this a good loss? I'm sorry.
Can I jump in on that?
Sure.
Clark Atlanta actually had a chance to win that game.
Absolutely.
And, come back and tie it, but they made a couple of miscues down the stretch, but they made correctable errors that could be quickly corrected. So yes, for Clark Atlanta and for the SIAC, although they lost, I think this was if there is ever anything such as a good loss, of all the teams that took a loss in this top 7, this was the best loss by a top 7 team.
Absolutely. 360 yards.
I agree with you, Drew.
So go ahead. I'm sorry, Doc.
No, you're fine. I agree with you, Drew. And to answer your question, Mike, I think that's a great question to put out there. We kind of teased that out over the first weekend with 2 big brands going into that, could there be a such thing as a good loss? And we're talking about more from the media perspective and framing it. Obviously, if you're the coach, we'll put that out there. That goes without saying. There's no such thing. But also, I think with Clark Atlanta seeking to build the brand, this was a program that hasn't had much success in many years. So obviously, they had that success last year, played in the championship game. So as you're establishing a brand and your expectation, changing, one of the better quarterbacks in HBCU sports last year, particularly at the mid-major level, I think to your point, yes, in just about every facet, you would look at it and say, yeah, this is a good loss in terms of the expectation that you continue to build for your program. So I like that question in terms of getting that on the table. And I know you wanted to maybe add some more comments.
I had one more with the Red Tail Classic. I do like that Albany State score that Charles mentioned, but with Tuskegee, I forget what the record is in this Red Tail Classic.
We still upside down.
Huh?
Tuskegee still upside down.
You made the point of somebody else that Tuskegee could be a school that was on the ledge. Does this win push them back off the ledge from my?
Oh, yeah. Charles, you the ledge guy. Charles? I would think so.
I think Tuskegee may be on the ledge. Where do we stand with that now?
I'm trying to keep everybody out the room right now after week 1.
I guess the question for him is whether Steven will put the Rams on the ledge.
Well, hey, that article he wrote, he put a lot of pressure on their shoulders this upcoming season. So they might have snuck into the room, to get on the ledge. So.
Drew, go ahead. Your comments in terms of Tuskegee. Does this squarely back them off the ledge?
For now.
Okay. Yeah.
For now. Don't lose Saturday.
Yeah, especially under the lights.
A, Central State. B, first night game. You don't want to be on that team that lost the first night game. I'm just here to warn you if you're a Tiger player.
Better get this one,
Yeah, got to get this one in Saturday.
No disrespect to Central State, but
no disrespect to
Central State. With Central State, it is really in a building phase. That doesn't help the fact that you can't afford to lose that game.
Right. A couple of things about your top 7, though. Although the SIAC went 3-2 against the CIAA, the 3 teams in your top 7 out of the SIAC, Dr. Cavil, all lost on
Good point. I like that.
This weekend. Yeah. That's number 1. And a score outside of the top 7 that stuck out to me. Charles mentioned the one with Albany State. How about Edward Water, Savannah State, 41-14 over Savannah State? That one also stuck out to me.
Yep.
That one, I agree. I'm glad that you brought that out. That was a good one. And we were quietly looking at that. Jenkins certainly made an early statement. We'll see how that looks moving forward. But with the expectation that some people were curious would take place, I think he answered it pretty early. Great matchup. A lot of people went in and thought Savannah State may have had a chance to get that. So the fact that he still got it done is really good. I like the analysis there.
Noah Biden over there, Edward Waters. I didn't know that.
Go ahead, say it again.
Noah Biden used to be at Southern and Grambling over there at Edward Waters. I didn't realize that. So.
I didn't catch that.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you got that out.
Damn, why we get all the SWAC throwaways in the SIAC now? We got Jackson State old quarterback at Clark Atlanta. We got Southern's old quarterback at the in Jacksonville. So
they all moving around.
It's not throwaways.
One of the things I think is interesting to see how much is a trend. Whether the coaches, are understanding the changing landscape. So are they recruiting, or at least being available for athletes in that? And then how many of the athletes may not be comfortable where they are, but they still like the HBCU culture. So obviously that's a natural fit to be able to see if you can get more playing time on some very competitive teams in a competitive league that still provides you that HBCU sports culture. I like that question. We need to kind of keep a tab on that and see how that moves forward in terms of the years that come. With that, let's take our second break. We'll come back, and then we'll actually do our top 7 unveil. We'll see about those teams that dropped out. and those teams that dropped in. We'll see what that looks like. Quite a few teams dropped out in this first week when you look at the mid-major division. We'll be right back after this second break.
History. Now you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Get ready for the.
God dog it.
Now you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. Going around town, trying to get it down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
Greetings, Santos. My name is Roland Austin, and I'm one of the directors at the 1876 Athletic Foundation. The 1876 Athletic Foundation was formed to promote the success of all 343 student athletes. Our overall goal is to fund scholarships for all of our student athletes. We ask that you help us in achieving this goal by donating to the 1876 Athletic Foundation via the QR code below or 1876.foundation. Your generous donation will help us continue to assist the needs of all of our Panther athletes. Thanks, and go Panthers.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and A.D. Drew. As we get to this third segment where we get a chance to unveil the mid-major in terms of the top 7, I'm fascinated to see what this looks like. I will be remiss if I didn't bring in that we're getting into these office hours with Dr. Cavil, which is brought to you by Chick-fil-A, Las Vegas, Nevada. When I and my family are visiting Las Vegas, Nevada, we love to dine at Chick-fil-A, located at 9830 West Flamingo Road. The owner and operator, Ron Peterson, a graduate of Prairie View A&M University, will be excited to have you as a guest. Let him know that Dr. Cavil sent you, as well as Big Brother Mike.
Big Brother.
Prudential Washington, for those
Call
that don't
Big
know.
Brother Prudential. Let's talk again.
I love it.
Wow.
I did want to give this plug in terms of seriousness. He did an advertisement that provided some young men with some NIL. And as we get a little closer to the actual classic that we played in Las Vegas, we'll get a chance maybe to hear their thoughts in terms of what that looks like and their support in terms of earning that NIL. With that being said, let's get back to the business. Let's get into this top 7 breakdown and see what the gentlemen think. As we get into it, let's talk about those that dropped out. Dropping out was those Clark Atlanta Panthers, even though we saw it as a good loss in terms of the ranking this week. It wasn't enough to stay in the top 7. We'll see if they can right the ship and jump back in there, depending on what the other teams above them did, but they dropped out. As well as those Winston-Salem State Rams. That loss to Tuskegee cost them a spot in top 7 after preseason rankings. Also dropping out, we had 4 teams that dropped out of the top 7 after preseason rankings in week 0 for the mid-major programs. Miles Golden Bears with their loss, tough loss up there in Ohio. They lost 0-1 in terms of Black College Hall of Fame classic game that features the champions, the previous season champions, facing off in terms of CIAA and SIAC. Fort Valley State Wildcats, they dropped out with that tough loss they had, 0-1. So 4 teams dropping out, which means we'll have 4 new entrants. But let's get into those receiving votes before we get officially into that top 7 receiving votes. Clark Atlanta at the top of the list, so they dropped out, but they're essentially at 8, if you would. 132 points at 1 loss because of the way they lost so close and had a chance to win the game. They stay in shouting distance. Also, Outside of that, Kentucky State, it was Central State, but they earned the win, and it was a conference win, so they're up there receiving votes. Fort Valley State, with their tough non-conference loss, still staying shouting distance as they are the final team receiving votes in the 3 outside of the top 7. We're looking at a collective 10. Let's get into number 7 here to see who is in the top 7. This team jumps into the poll this week, Benedict Tigers, with their big win against a CIAA foe at that. They're in the poll at 1-0, 141 points, as they were not ranked last week in the preseason top 7, but they jump in it in week 0. Bringing us to number 6. You all talked a little about this team. Coach Jenkins with the Edward Water Tigers. They at 1-0 and have a conference win, which is always nice, 158 points. As you can see, they were not ranked last weekend, but they're in the top 7 for week number 0. Bringing us to number 5. Tuskegee Golden Tigers get it done as they jump in with their big classic win, the Red Tail Tack Classic. 161 points. They're in the mix for week number 0. Can they stay in the top 7 with their matchup this week? AD says they better, or it may not be as friendly as from week 7, or you might have some folks running to the ledge, according to Charles. Week 0, he says stay away. Week 1, we'll see if he starts pushing folks to the ledge. Number 4, Albany, as they like to say around those parts, as Mike reminds us, the Golden Rams got a big win. They jump into the mix, so that earns them a spot in the top 7. They were just outside of it, 167 points, but we see they're getting it done solid in terms of what they're doing down there in Georgia. At number 3, getting these top 3. Now, these teams show out. It's all CIAA in terms of what this looks like. Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls, 1-0, 2 first-place votes, 196 points. They earned an additional first-place vote. They were previous 6, so they jumped up 3 spots in terms of what that looks like. And then they can continue to set up what could be an interesting season in the CIAA in terms of top folks. At number 2, Virginia State Trojans. When we get into some matchups, this might be intriguing one because we have a number 2 ranked team that's going to face a Norfolk State in terms of in-state rival. But they have 2 first-place votes, big non-conference win last weekend, so they continue to get things done in terms of Dr. Henry Frazier III. Also want to shout him out as he did an article that's on HBCU Game Day where he talks about the tree, writes up his legacy and those that have coached with him as assistants that are now head coaches and getting a lot of things done. So if you get a chance, go check that out by Dr. Henry Frazier III. It will tantalize you for this big matchup coming up this week, Saturday in Virginia. At number 1, this shouldn't surprise anybody. Those big bad Panthers are at it again. Virginia Union Panthers made a statement that they're not ready to relinquish number 1 as they earned that mid-major HBCU national champion last year. They're off to a great start. 4 first-place votes, 220 points, so they're getting it done. Let's see what everybody thinks here. Let's go with you, Mike, in terms of your thoughts in terms of the top 7 for the mid-major division.
You know, this will be the one time, Doc, and I know you're gonna pin mark this, quotation. I know you're gonna probably bookmark it and send it to you. See, Mike, I agree with the most part with this. Questions, because
I'm gonna clip this just before you even finish. Before you messing up, I'm clipping this.
Questions that I have are Albany State.
Yeah.
Could you make an argument with the way they the way they won for them being at 2 in the top 3? That's
I think you could. Yeah.
Because Virginia Union, I mean, who'd they play? Shaw? I think
Miles.
Albany State played Shaw.
Yeah, so maybe I was thinking of Virginia State. They played Barton College. Barton College is a D3. My sons went to that school. It's more of a lacrosse school than anything. So I'm looking at strength of schedule. I guess that's what I'm getting at. And I think you could make the case for Albany State moving up a couple of slots. Other than that, Doc,
you have it as high as 2.
I'd have them as high as 2 or 3. Yes.
Nice, interesting. Okay.
So yeah, but I told my father-in-law that, so I can't go back on that
You
anyway.
did have them in the top 7 in your preseason rankings, so I can see that.
Yeah. So that's the only thing I would recommend. Other than that, I'll go on record saying yes, the poll worked this week. Week 1, data point.
Thank you, Big Mike. Charles, did you hear that?
I heard that. I'm inclined to kind of go with him on this. This is very interesting. I would take a look at Benedict and their shutout of Fayetteville State in terms of pushing them up a little bit more, because shutouts are hard. And AD prepped us talking about this Benedict team in terms of the defense that they're going to have this upcoming season. And that was something that I failed to mention at the beginning, but that score jumped out for me with regards to Benedict knocking off Fayetteville State 10-0. Question is, of course, will they have some offense to go along with their defense? But shutouts are hard, so I would have probably flip-flopped Benedict and Tuskegee.
Yeah, I can see that. I like that as well. Great points when you talk about the shutout, and you're exactly right. The shutout any team anywhere is always a challenge. It'll be interesting. Can they take that step, as you saw Jackson State second year under the new coach, to make a run, if not a championship, at least make a run, as they kind of fell down last year after having 2 great years with the coach leaving. That being said, let's bring in the D2 expert, see what he says.
First of all, Dr. Cavil, I want to thank your graphic designer for giving us a little love that he's giving on that background graphic. I just want to thank y'all for that. Okay, now we've made our mandatory Morehouse reference on this show. Now let's move on to the rest of football. All right, now Virginia Union, you start at 1, you stay number 1 until somebody beats you. All right, I'm good with that. Johnson C, Albany State, you could make an argument for 2-3 based on style points over who they beat. But I'm going to counter that argument and say maybe you could consider moving Tuskegee up to that number 2 slot, because Tuskegee beat your previous number 4 team in your top 7. The only team in that top 7, well, one of 2 teams in the top 7 to get a win over a team that was ranked, with Virginia Union getting the win over previous number 5, Miles. So one can make the argument Tuskegee should be as high as number 2 on this list, and then you could argue about whether Johnson C and Albany State are behind him or behind them. Edward Waters, once again, style points. Benedict, quality win over a name brand team. We don't know if that still is that a quality win as of yet, just over because of that team in general. One can make an argument Clark Atlanta deserves to be on this list despite the loss, because of the level of competition that they played, and they played a competitive game with the opportunity to win the game. But I want to talk about the receiving votes. Winston-Salem was number 4. The team they defeated is now ranked, and they can't even get into the receiving votes category. Gotta question that. That's for you, Steve. That's for you, but that's a legitimate argument, Steve.
I would like to go on record and say that I strongly believe, and I'm not a D2 expert, but I strongly believe that Clark Atlanta deserves some points, and you still could consider them for the top 7 as well. I know everybody's got wins, but when you look at strength of schedule and look at that game,
0-1.
Yes, I know that. I got the CB, but still.
Thank you, Charles. Somebody else with
okay.
Basis. I mean, because
lost better than
I think you all.
Some of these wins that we got on the board with Albany State,
exactly.
Their
loss is better than some of the wins you got in the top 7
with no scholarships.
Yes. I'm not
going to argue against what you're saying. I want to make that clear. I think you make some very good points in terms of, as we kind of open it up, quality losses. What does that look like? Quality wins. I think that makes sense when you're doing the strength of schedule talk. And I think sometimes we forget that when we talk about rankings. And that is in the eyes of the beholder. You are a voter. So you get the right to break that down. So I like the fact that you're sharing that. That's part of the dialogue. But I do want to remind folks oftentimes, at the end of the day, at least the way the computer is rated, and then some of these are also people's votes of how they think. A win is a win. When you get a win, you get a win. And this is not a projection. Some people like to make polls projections, saying, hey, this team is going to likely do this, so they should be ranked here. Well, what I like about week-to-week polls is it changes with how a team is playing at that given time. And teams, to your point, as we're projecting what these teams should do, Clark Atlanta, if what we believe they're going to do is they'll find a way, they'll be back in the top 7. They'll get a chance to earn that way back in the top 7 in terms of what that looks like. Because if these other teams, as you're alluding to, didn't necessarily have as strong wins, then when they play quote unquote stronger teams, they're not going to win. They're going to fall because of those losses. So I think it'll play out. And that's the only warning I have with folks that are voting in these polls. Not that you can't have the discussion, because I think the discussion is important, that you get to say, hey, I'm projecting this team. So you making the argument this win is better. So I like that part of it. Please keep that going. I think that's important. People need to hear it. But I just like to remind folks as they consider voting, so we have so many people out there, is be careful about projecting a team. Do it for this week, vote, and then based on what continues week in, week out, you can move teams. You don't have to be in love where they are. To your point, Virginia State came in at number 2. They got a 1. They got a win. I can see, do you still see them at number 2? If you never agree with them being at number 2, that's another statement as well. So good points there. Let's take our next break, and we'll start coming back in the next segment talking about these matchups. Talking about Virginia State Trojans. One of the big matchups I'm sure that you probably want to talk about a little bit is that matchup against Norfolk State. And we came in the season and we were asking those questions. Could we get those HBCU Division II wins over HBCU FCS program? I think early on, nobody was really throwing anything out there. We kind of struggling trying to find it out. But now all of a sudden, particularly how some people saw week 1 for the major division, that now people are saying, hey, maybe not so fast. This is the Virginia State Trojans that beat Norfolk State 2 years ago. Can it happen again? Well, we'll be back on the other side and talk just about that and some other matchups at the mid-major level that these guys are interested in. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this last break.
At AutoMasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's talk about some of these matchups when we look at it. One that is interesting to me, I'll throw it out there first. You all can give me some more, and I have some other ones to talk about. If you'd like me to put them out there, we will have some PowerPoints moving forward for what that looks like in terms of these matchups, and I do have some. We'll probably show them on Thursday for that matter. Number 2 versus in the mid-major rankings, currently Virginia State Trojans come in at 1-0. They're on the road at FCS Major Division program, Norfolk State Spartans. Let me go with you, Charles. Any thoughts in terms of this matchup? Could you see an upset, or are you like, no, Norfolk State is still too strong to get there?
No, I think Norfolk State is still too strong, but I do think this is going to be a really, really competitive game. especially when you talk about the familiarity of both programs with each other. But I'm going to go with the Norfolk State to get the win in this one. I look to see improvement from week 1 to week 2 with regards to Otto Kuhn especially.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Drew, any thoughts on that?
Can we see an upset? Yes, I think it's realistic that we could see an upset with this particular game, especially the way Virginia State likes to run the ball. And if Norfolk State cannot get better quarterback play, and this game is competitive in the fourth quarter,
It's tight.
because if you let the little dog stay around long enough, then they'll come back and bite you in the tail. So Norfolk needs to jump out early and take Virginia State's heart away, because if like I say, fourth quarter, you get to that 7-8 minute mark of the fourth quarter, and Virginia State is within the score or has the lead, give it to the Trojans.
Mike, what you say? Tiebreaker? You gonna break it?
Yeah, I'm gonna break the tie, and I'm actually gonna go with the little dog on this one. I don't have enough confidence that
Big Mike going with the little dog.
I'm going with the little dog. I'm a little dude, so I'm going with the little dog. So, I mean, you look at the offense that they put up. Mentions there's passing, but they had over 220, 230 yards on the ground. And you look at how was Norfolk State played. You don't have a lot of confidence. Or you didn't leave game 1 with a lot of confidence. Hopefully they'll get things around and they can stop the run and the pass. But I don't have I think they'll make improvements, but I think this is prime opportunity for a big little dog upset.
Good stuff.
Virginia State is called Big State. Don't forget that.
Big State.
Yeah, Virginia
Where
State
they
is
get
Big State
from, man. Come on,
they were first.
Because Norfolk was born out of Virginia State.
I got you. Okay, I got
Virginia
you.
State.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, they'll remind you they might not be D1, but they'll let you know who Big State is real quick around them parts. With that being said, I'm gonna let it do a wild card. I'm gonna let y'all pick a couple of matchups. You can pick the ones that intrigue you. I'm gonna start with you, Mike. Go ahead. What mid-major matchups are on your mind this week?
I thought one that got me, and if I got the date wrong, but it is not Central State playing Tuskegee?
Yes.
Saturday night. A night game Saturday.
Night game, right?
Yes.
Yep. That one intrigued me. I'd like to see how Tuskegee, comes back off the win and plays against Central State. That one intrigues me a little bit.
I can see that. There's a lot of momentum in that game.
Yeah.
A lot of people will be hyped because of the night game, and if the player's not careful, they'll be focused. Won't be focused, but I don't think it'll be a problem. But I certainly see why you have some interest there. Charles?
For me, HBCU's get another bite at the apple. Valdosta State at Johnson C. Smith. That's the one that I'm taking a look at. I think that'll be a really good one. Clark almost had an opportunity to knock him off this past weekend. Johnson C. Smith destroyed Morehouse in the opening game. Let's see what they do against again.
That is that Valdosta.
Yeah. On here I'm looking at it game being in Charlotte. So it's in Valdosta. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was in Valdosta. We can check on it, but either way, that's an incredible matchup. I agree with you. I have laddered up Golden Bulls in terms of they seem to be on a mission this year. How they fell last year was disappointing to them. And I think they're using it as full to fire. But you talk about making a statement, particular positioning for if they're able to get it done and win the CIAA. What does it help them in terms of positioning for a Division II playoff spot and maybe even an open round bye in that region? With that being said, Drew, what game or two is on your list?
Since everybody else has I can go ahead and finish off the buffet. Then I can go ahead and get all these games out the way.
We left the meat on the table for you, Big Daddy. Go ahead. We left the meat on the table, but just finish the bone. Finish the bone.
That's exactly what I was doing. Fayetteville stepping outside of the HBCU diaspora to play UMC Pembroke. That's a game that's going to interest me to see if Fayetteville is going to be able to come back after what Benedict did against them last week. How about Albany State, Kentucky State? Kentucky State with a surprise victory and the way that they won. That's going to be a interesting matchup. Will Albany State do what everybody's expecting them to do in the SIAC, or will Kentucky State show that they're going to be a player in this conference this year? How about the fifth quarter of the game that didn't finish last year, Florida Memorial and Clark Atlanta?
Yeah.
Where's
the defense? Where's the defense?
Can we get? I just want to see. Can we get a winner this time? Can we get a decision? That's all I want on this game. I just want to know who wins this game. What was the other one? Allen Livingstone. Allen, despite the loss, played surprisingly well last week. So that one, and of course, that's a CIAA SIAC crossover. That's going to determine that season series, whether we're going to have to go that last game, or whether the SIAC can go ahead and claim the season series this week and not have to wait till next week, because there are 7 matchups this year. That will be matchup number 6. So the SIAC goes to close it out with that win if Allen's able to pick up that win.
That's a good way to look at the game with both of them coming in 0-1. Obviously, somebody's going to get their win, but you put that conference bragging rights on there, it makes it just a little more interesting. So I'm glad you put that point in there. When you talk about Florida Memorial, although they had the loss, they had that gigantic comeback that they couldn't quite pull off. They were down 26-6 at halftime, with the deficit growing to 42-6 through 3 quarters. But they're able to get it back to 42-35 and essentially just ran out of time. So that, to me, makes that game a little more intriguing in terms of that matchup. It is in Atlanta this time around instead of them taking the trip out there. So I'm intrigued about that, particularly in terms of that matchup, and see what it looks like. 2 teams that excited us last year that we couldn't get a final. So I like what Drew says. Can we get a final in terms of that matchup? So fascinating there. When you get into those matchups, I am intrigued to your point a little bit on that Albany State, Kentucky State. At least both teams coming undefeated is important conference matchup and being able to take a huge step. So has Kentucky really took a next step, or will Albany do what it needs to do before they start to get on the road? And they have a matchup in FAMU in a couple of weeks, so interesting to see what that looks like. That's going to be interesting with Quinn Gray going home. See if let
FAMU lose that game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go say it. I was going to let you say
it.
Say it again,
I orange or green card. I can say it.
Say it again, AD. Say it again.
Let FAMU lose that game.
Boy, I tell you, y'all hard down there. Woo!
Charles, you won't let them get on the ledge. If they lose that game, you won't put them on the ledge?
No, they got to get on the ledge if they lose that game.
There won't be a ledge if they lose that game. They're going to just push them straight out the window.
Yeah. It will be no thought. There will be no thought on that one.
They ain't going to give them a plank?
It's no time.
No.
Yeah.
That's good. I want to go back to a little bit about that Johnson C. Smith Valdosta State game. What are your early indicators on that matchup? As you said, it is certainly one to look at. But does Johnson C. Smith have a serious chance? And to do that, what do they have to do to get that victory, particularly going on the road? The last time we saw something like this was Virginia Union. They went down to Valdosta State a couple of years ago and actually won the game, put them out. Coach Jackson talked about the fact that it looked long and thin. You talking about putting coaches on the ledge. He wasn't feeling too comfortable with some of the fans and thoughts about that. So it'll be interesting to see can Johnson Smith make the statement, get it done. Go ahead, Charles.
Well, AD saw it up close. It's Chelsea. Are they still running the ball downhill like that?
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
and I think they just scored on us again. But anyway, the 2 things with Johnson C. Smith, and they do have a good football team. The 2 holes I see with Johnson C. Smith, they are vulnerable to the big play. Morehouse was able to get a couple of big plays against Johnson C. Smith. the unfortunate thing for Morehouse, they were not able to score off of those big plays, except for the 72-yard touchdown pass that they
Valley.
got.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is Johnson C. Smith has got to figure out their kicking game, their field goals. They scored 7 touchdowns against Morehouse and missed 4 PATs.
That's inexcusable.
Yeah.
So they have got to solve 2 of them by the starting kicker and 2 of them by the punter after the starting field goal kicker was replaced. So and I'm not saying anything on here. I didn't say the Coach Fly was after the game. It was like you got to solve that problem before you get into CIAA play.
Good points. Mike, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I guess, how good are they at, on the defensive side? You're talking about Valdosta State that racked up 453 yards, nearly 200 yards rushing on the ground. When Johnson C. Smith played, they did get, 200 yards rushing, didn't get that much passing, but they allowed almost, So I'm wondering on the defensive side, I think they'll put up some offense. My question is, will their defense be able to stop Valdosta State when you've got a team against a good Clark Atlanta that put up nearly 500 yards of total offense? That's my question.
They gave up 380 against Morehouse.
Yep.
Despite winning 45-9, they gave up 380 yards. They did pick us off 3 times, but does that give you a data point to look at to help you answer your question, Mike?
Yes, it does give me an additional data point, but it means at a minimum, even if they're scoring, you're gonna have. Even if you're stopping or are able to produce on offense, you're gonna have to outscore them.
Right. It was a lot of bend but not break against Morehouse.
Yeah, big thing for me is like whether Johnson C. Smith can stop the run. The stat that jumped out for me against Clark, they ran the ball 40 times, almost 200 yards. So they are going to run the ball hard.
Yeah,
there it is. Great final points, and we'll call it the show. Thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and A.D. Drew. Again, we want to thank you to listen to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be back on Thursday as we get even deeper in terms of the matchups, and we'll go back to a lot more of the major division matchups. We'll stick in some mid-major matchups as well, give me some more detail on what that looks like. And then Sunday, we're back at it as we unveil the next week after what takes place on Saturday. We'll unveil the major division week number 2. Things are just getting started, but it's quickly moving past us. We look forward to next Thursday as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's DrKenyattaCavil. That's on Facebook as well as YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter, Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Dream big and continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Mike?
Lecture.
80?
Travel light, everybody. Dismissed.
You always got to be one. They got to get their own thing. They got to be one.
One of these doing their own thing.
Come on, man. The rotation. Up pass.
To the right or to the left?
Right.